David Balmer was the Solano County Administrator from 1954 to 1982. This was a transformative time for Solano County, and at the age of 100, Mr. Balmer sat down with Solano County Library to reflect.
Are you ready to start talking about your life?
Well, I don't know. I'll find out.
David Balmer grew up near the ocean and beaches in the San Diego area. But when it came time for college, he made a decision that took him across the country to Dartmouth and the Ivy League.
I got a scholarship, 4-year scholarship, and I had a cousin who went to college, who went to Dartmouth, and I had never been east of the Mississippi.
College wouldn't be the last of his travels. In 1940, David enlisted in the Army Air Corps. After being discharged due to problems with his vision, David wound up in Texas, serving as a flight instructor for new recruits during World War II.
Well, the ones that I was teaching is a very fundamental. It only takes about 10 hours of flight time to learn the basic credential of flying.
During this period, David found time to return home to California to marry Elizabeth Donnelly, a woman he'd dated since high school. After the war, they returned home to California, where David pursued a career in public service for the city of San Diego. They had a long, successful marriage. They enjoyed family life, but they saved time for each other too. They became grandparents, then great-grandparents, and even great-great-grandparents. In 1954, Solano County made headlines when it announced David Balmer as its next county administrator. Well, maybe not the headline, but he was there. Solano County's population was relatively small when he first arrived.
It was advertised in the bulletin for the job. It was 115, I think. It might have been a little lower, a little higher.
By the time he retired in 1982, the population more than doubled. This was a busy time in Solano County, and it was a busy job. But of all the work he'd done, in David's mind, his two biggest accomplishments was achieving a sustainable water supply for the county and securing and solidifying a stronger library system. Agriculture has always been an integral part of Solano County, but for much of its early history, there was no reliable source of water during the hot summers. In 1948, the Federal Bureau of Reclamation authorized the construction of a dam. But instead of being incorporated into the Bureau's Central Valley project, local authorities and residents favored an independent project.
The Solano project was a very large project. And interestingly enough, it was outside the Bureau project or the state project.
The construction of Monticello Dam was completed in 1958, culminating in the creation of Lake Berryessa, which was, at the time, the second largest man-made lake in California. Today, Monticello Dam and Lake Berryessa are the primary source of water for the cities of Solano County, as well as Travis Air Force Base. Lake Berryessa itself has become a major summer recreation destination for Northern California. In the 1930s, the Solano County Library was a stable and progressive organization. With a newly built library in Fairfield and organized bookmobile routes, the library had a strong presence in the communities around the county. But as the decades marched on, the organization struggled. In the 1950s and 60s, the library landscape in Solano was a bit of a mess. Despite its name, Solano County Library only covered Fairfield, Sassoon, and Rio Vista. Benicia, Dixon, Vallejo, and Vacaville operated their own library systems independent of the county library.
I remember distinctly the library because I had been on the Fairfield City Council. Our library service was deteriorating.
Meanwhile, Vallejo's library system wasn't faring much better. In 1970, Vallejo replaced their 10,000 square foot library with a 96,000 square foot John F. Kennedy branch. Operating costs were drastically underestimated, and the JFK library hadn't even been open for a year before it ran out of money for its utility bills. The city council and the library board were at odds. David Balmer and Josephine Becker, the newly appointed Vallejo city librarian, began to meet with other community leaders in the hope that both problems might be able to be solved simultaneously. In 1972, the state library performed an analysis of the library situation in Solano. They proposed 3 solutions. They could dissolve the county library system entirely, they could pay the city of Vallejo to handle the county library's operations, or they could commit to a stronger county library system. With Vallejo so low in funds, and other cities in the county operating libraries on their own, it would have been easy to write off the county library as a whole. It was thanks to leaders like David Balmer and Joe Becker that the decision was made to fix the problem rather than to get rid of it.
Believe it or not, under Richard Nixon, we got something, a grant. It was like $1.50 per person in the county, and was a block grant that could be used in any way possible. And Dave and other leaders in the county at the time developed a program to give the cities $1.50 per person in their population in order to bring them in to the county library system and to build the headquarters over on the city property in Fairfield.
When we agreed with Vallejo for them to get out of the library business, and, part of that was that Joe Becker would become the county librarian. She was a competent woman. She had the ideas. I was just boost the one to would help with things that needed to be.
Joe Becker and David Balmer became quite a team. With all parties agreeing, Solano County Library reformed itself in 1973, incorporating Vallejo's John F. Kennedy and Springstown libraries as their own, with Joe, the former Vallejo city librarian, as the county librarian. Shortly after the merger, construction began on a new library in Fairfield that would serve as the main headquarters for the county library system. It's known today as the Fairfield Civic Center Library. Solano County Library flourished thanks to David and Joe's hard work. A few years after the libraries merged, Vacaville joined too. Today, the library has grown from 4 branches to 8. And although the libraries in Dixon and Benicia remain independent, they are partners with Solano County Library, so that library materials and resources can be shared across the county. In 2003, long after their retirements, David Balmer and Joe Becker reunited to celebrate the remodel of the library their hard work built. At the celebration, Supervisor Dwayne Crum observed that none of this would have been possible without the strong leadership of 2 visionaries like David and Joe. So how does David keep busy in retirement now that he's far removed from the busy days as an administrator?
If you're smart, you keep busy. And there's so much to do, you don't know how you ever manage to go